Bring in our panel now. Fox News senior political analyst Brit Hume, Laura Ingraham, editor of LifeZette, Juan Williams, columnist with The Hill, and syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Now, there was a lot of reaction to that inaugural address. Laura, we didn't hear from you today, but I do want to play this soundbite before I get to you. It was all over the board, but this was an interesting statement.
When he said today, America first, it was not just the racial, I should say racial, the Hitlerian background to it, but it was the message. I kept thinking, what does Theresa May think of this morning when she picks up the papers and says, oh my God, what did he just say? He said America first. What happened to the special relationship? What if you're Putin? You're probably pounding the table saying, that's what I've been saying, Russia first.
Hitlerian.
Well, it doesn't take long for them to go to the most extreme negativity. The same guy who had his infamous thrill running up his leg when he saw Obama walk out for one of the first times. It doesn't surprise me that MSNBC, CNN, throughout the day, I was able to see some of the coverage. A lot of focus on the negativity. Trump, laid waste to all the people who were sitting really behind him, the Bushes, the Obamas, the Clintons, and a lot of the Republicans. I walked past John Kasich, who was kind of gray-faced today. Marco Rubio was, waving to people. But all these people that he defeated over the last 18 months had to come and hear this new vision for the Republican Party and this new vision for governing. And it makes a lot of people really
uncomfortable. What is that in a nutshell? What is that vision?
I think it's an economic populism that is conservative, but it's not the conservatism of pure interventionism of George Bush. It is not the globalist vision that both Bush and Obama and Clinton all shared. And it's much more rooted, I think, in closer to my old boss, Ronald Reagan, than it is at all to the Bushes. That's why it was so surprising to so many in the establishment that he was able to win this thing. And today's speech was, James was right, it was total Trump. This was Trump from beginning to end. It was an indictment, but it was also very hopeful. We're protected by God. We have a vision for the future that is going to be vibrant and creating jobs for everyone, regardless of where you come from. I thought that part was very positive, but look, I was up there on that platform, and there were a lot of egos that were bruised, and a lot of people, were still seemingly in a little bit of a state of shock.
Charles.
Well, I think he did lay waste to the vision of John Kennedy and Ronald Reagan. When Trump excoriated the foreigners for draining us of our wealth, for being essentially free riders, for using us, exploiting us, the most striking thing about that is he made no distinction between friend and foe. When John Kennedy spoke, he said, we will support any friend, oppose any foe, in the defense to assure the success of liberty. No mention of liberty, no mention of the free world, no distinction between friends and enemies. So when you are in Britain and you do hear this, and you hear this essential indictment of all the outside world, all the others, as being responsible for American decline, despair, economic problems, etc., then you've got to ask yourself, this is a new country. Now, you could say, you can make the argument for this, and say when we won the Cold War, we decided we're through carrying the world on our shoulder. This speech, I think, is 25 years late, and it's remarkable that we went a quarter of a century maintaining the burden, but this is a way of saying we're done.
Brett.
I would just say this about it. Because he has no prior record in public life or public office, we know less about this incoming president than any incoming president that I can think of. And I think we all have a long way to go before we can say we know what he's really about. You look at the things that he says that Charles has pointed out, that Laura has pointed out, and they certainly point in one direction. You look at his cabinet appointments, one after another, particularly in the area of foreign affairs, and they point in an entirely different direction. And you look at some of the rest of what he said. It is a complex picture. It is in some ways contradictory. We got a long way to go here, and I think it's foolish to climb out on any limbs that might be sawed off when he turns out, as he has done for a year or more now, to be very different than we have understood.
Juan, what about that analysis? Give him a chance.
I am all for giving him a chance. I think most people are for giving him a chance, but what we saw today was the kind of campaign speech that was maybe, some people said, the speech at the convention was pretty dark. Today was also had its dark moments, but I think he spoke directly and bluntly, and I think it was a threat, as we heard from Joe Trippi, not just to Democrats, but to the Republican establishment in this town, clearly saying that they are the ones who have been reaping the benefits and not the American people. That opens the door to real challenges to the Republicans who now dominate the majority of both the House and the Senate.
10 seconds.
The Republican establishment was defeated in many ways by Donald Trump, but now he has to deal with them on a day-to-day basis. It's not as simple as campaigning.
Panel, thank you.